By the time this video publishes, it'll just about be the first day of summer. So I thought, what better way to welcome in summer than to kind of wrap up some of the spring scenery around here. So this is just going to be a quick, simple, relaxing video of some different spring scenes from around my little mini farm and all around the different animals that I have, all the different plants that I have, and a quick little garden tour as well so you can see how things are coming along, at least at this stage. Today it is June 7th. So enjoy this relaxing end of spring video as we welcome in summer. Oh, and also, you see Mimosa here. If you follow my other videos, you know that she adopted those 4 chicks that I put in here. Well, she is so happy to be a mother again that her little, beautiful afro is finally growing back. She lost it when she molted, and for some reason it was taking forever to grow back. And I think she's so happy and content, it kind of sped things up. Now, that could just be a totally random theory that I made up. I have no way to prove it, but I'm going with that because I think it's a cute story and a cute way to explain why it's grown back so fast all of a sudden. But I mean, it is a fact that if you're happy, your health is usually better. And we all know Mimosa really loves being a mom. There's some of her babies now. They're honestly too big to need her at all, but they still let her take care of them, especially the little white one. She is the youngest. It's so cute. But we talk about that in lots of other chicken videos, so we won't focus on that too much. Let's get to the garden tour. We got some little baby Brussels sprouts starting, so I'm going to fertilize this with some fish emulsion to help give it some size. You can see they grow right on the stem of the plant. And then here are the potatoes. I'm doing Eva potatoes, which is a white potato. I'm doing some different reds and blues. I do have a video of how I planted these, so check that out if you want to know how to grow them in grow bags. I follow some different gardening groups on Facebook, and I see a lot of people asking questions. They're like, oh, my potatoes are blooming. Should I cut the blooms off? I never do, so I don't recommend it. Mine do great with the blooms on. I don't tamper with it besides making sure they stay watered and occasionally fertilizing them throughout the season. And the sweet potatoes are looking better. It was kind of hard on them transplanting them in here because the slips that I got weren't in the best condition, but thankfully they have taken to the soil and they're looking a lot better. On an unrelated note, if you've been watching my other videos, especially the ones from this spring, you know that we had some random surprise elephant garlic pop up in the backyard. And we left it here. We wanted to do a little experiment. Well, when the tops of the garlic fall over like this, that usually means it's ready for harvest. Now, like I said, these popped up on their own, so I just let nature take its course. I've not taken care of them. I haven't fertilized this spot or anything. So I'm not expecting great results, but I'm curious. So let's see. I had a feeling that was going to happen. Let me get the shovel. Yeah, it's formed. It's not nearly as big as elephant garlic is supposed to be, but that's because I didn't take care of it because it just popped up on its own. I am growing garlic this year that's in the raised beds, and actually soon we can harvest that. We have 2 pollinator water stations. All you have to do is take a terracotta pot, some glass marbles that you can get at the dollar store, and set it up like so. Put some water in here, and the marbles make sure that when the butterflies or the bees land on here to get a drink, they won't get stuck or drown. The coneflowers are getting ready to bloom. Oh, actually, there's one already. Coneflowers are a very hardy perennial. It's nice because they come back every year. At the end of the season, when they die off, we do trim them down to the bottom. You do have to be careful, though, because they like to spread. Now we're going up to the big garden. Later today I'll be planting pumpkins and gourds. I do have a video from last year that teaches you how to plant them, if you want to check that out. The broccoli is starting to form a head. Here is a volunteer bachelor button flower. It came back from last year. And then I planted sunflowers all along the back of the big garden because, well, 1, it's beautiful, and 2, I want to attract pollinators. That's good for the plants. And you can see the purple cauliflower plants are finally starting to get some size. When I transplanted them, they really struggled for some reason, and I thought they wouldn't make it, but now they're finally growing. I just hope that they can form their head before the heat of summer gets here. We shall see. More broccoli, more sunflowers. And then, of course, we got the peppers getting nice and tall. Sometimes they will bloom and shoot out a pepper when they're still little. If you see that happening, just pull it off. That way they can put their energy into growing to their adult size before they focus on putting their energy into this. And yes, I do have a video about how to grow peppers and tomatoes and eggplant. And here's the eggplant. It's looking really good. I didn't grow as many eggplant as I did last year because my customers, most of them really don't like eggplant, which surprises me because eggplant is so good and there's actually so many different recipes that you can make. And it's technically a superfood. It has so many vitamins and minerals in it. If you just do a quick Google search, you'll see there's so many different ways to prepare it. Simple ways too. I use a tomato cage to support it because the plants do get pretty big and the eggplants get pretty heavy. Here's another sunflower. So if you take away anything from this video, maybe it should be try new things, especially fruits and vegetables, because they're so good for you. And you never know, you might end up really liking it, and if not, well, at least you can say you tried. So now we've come to the row where I planted zinnias. A very easy, hardy flower to grow. It is an annual. I had a couple that didn't sprout. You see the empty holes here, but last week I replanted them, so they should be sprouting in the next couple days. These ones are looking good, getting ready to bloom. I sell bouquets. That's why I grow a lot of flowers. You'll see even more flowers later on in my video. More zinnias, more sunflowers. It's gonna look so beautiful when they're all in bloom this summer. And then here we have flamingo flowers, or flamingo feathers. And I have one that bloomed already. I'll show you that later in the video. It's really pretty. As you can imagine, it's pink. Pretty sure this is a bachelor button. There's more bachelor buttons, pink and blue. Bachelor buttons are really nice as like a filler in your bouquet arrangements. And then here's more zinnias. I did a ton of different zinnia color varieties. And here are the cosmos, another really pretty annual flower. And then I didn't really want to have the squash around the flower plants because, you know, squash get big and bushy and I kind of wanted the flowers to stand on their own and just be beautiful. But this one sprouted on its own and it looked so healthy. I just didn't have the heart to move it. I don't really know what it is, but I didn't really mess with it. This is a great opportunity to educate you guys on some stuff. So, this is pretty obvious. Eggs, that's not a good sign. And then the camera's not really focusing on them, but there's, there we go. The little yellow with black striped beetles in here. Looks like they are breeding, so horrible, not good, but I'll get rid of them. They are cucumber beetles, and they are extremely destructive on viney crops like this, and they could destroy this very, very quickly. You can already see signs that they've been nibbling on it. So this plant is actually thriving, it's doing really healthy, so if I spray this with some 7, it should be fine and it should recover. And then those little brown bugs down there are squash bugs, which also like to eat squash plants. Oh, and they're also on a date, so not good. I will definitely have to spray. Although I recommend spraying in the evening. I don't want to do it right now when it's bright and sunny because that could stress the plant. So there's your educational tidbit for the day. Oh, and while we're on the subject of educating, I guess I'll show you one more thing before we go. Ooh, be careful, squash plants are a little bit prickly. So this flower is a male blossom because it's just a plain flower, no fruit on it. It's gonna help pollinate the other flowers. This was a female bloom because it had where a fruit can start on it, and since it got pollinated, the fruit is now starting to form. If I had to guess, I'd say this is probably gonna be a spaghetti squash. All right, back to the tour. Here's some zucchini. Before you know it, it'll be ready to pick. Zucchini and yellow squash plants are extremely prolific. You can harvest from them several times a week, and once they get big enough to harvest, like this little one, for example, that little baby plant, it's still got several days. But once they start to reach that size and they're starting to look shiny and glossy and they lose the blossom, you might be like, okay, I'll give it a couple more days. Don't. Go check on it the next day because they grow so fast. If you wait a few days, they might be too big. And you don't want it to go to waste at that point. You could give it to your chickens if you have chickens, or you could turn it into zucchini bread. But if you want to cook it or use it in meals or saute it when it's big, it's going to be tough and the seeds are going to be big and it won't be as good. It's better to pick them when they're small and tender. A little bit bigger than this. We also have some golden zucchini growing. Golden zucchini tastes pretty similar to green zucchini. The taste is a little bit different. I don't really know how to describe it, but I do actually prefer the golden zucchini over the green. So there are my lovely zucchini plants. And here's the yellow squash. Sometimes the first sets of squash and zucchini can look a little bit funky, but as they go on throughout the summer, they tend to improve. Here is a welcomed friend, a little ladybug. As I'm sure you all know, they eat aphids, so if you see them in the garden, they're good. Make sure you don't get any sprays near them. And then I planted the cantaloupe when we were having all those horrible, horrible rainstorms. So I think the seeds washed away, so I replanted them just recently. So no sprouts yet, but in the next few days we should be getting sprouts. See, this watermelon's looking pretty good. I do have a video on how to grow that. Here's one of the spaghetti squash that I planted. And another one just starting to sprout. And then up here I did some cucumbers. And we got red cabbage and green cabbage. And then we got the corn. A lot of the corn got knocked down. I don't know if it was by the deer or by the storm. So I need to replant. I mean, look how bad that looks. We lost a lot of it because it was all the way back here. And then the weeds are taking over. So I'm gonna have to come up here and take care of that. So that's disappointing, but it shows you a real look that not everything goes according to plan. There's actually a lot of challenges when you're growing this many crops. Here's a sunflower. Another sunflower. And then up here we got our tomato plants. I use a cattle panel to tie them to, and now that they're getting some decent size, I can come back up here with some twine and attach them to the panel so that they grow correctly and don't just flop over. I have lots of different heirloom varieties. I have large varieties, I have colorful ones, I have grape, cherry. And I use this black fabric to help keep the weeds at bay and to keep the soil warm. That way you can get results a little bit faster for plants like tomatoes that like it warm. I actually need to come up here with the pruners because we have a couple of trees that decided to plant themselves in the tomato area. And with all the rain we've had the past several weeks, they just got out of control. So that's on the agenda for the next couple days. Weed control, pruning, tying up the tomatoes, planting pumpkins, spraying, and trying to deal with the corn. I got all that to do, plus my mom and I are having a bake sale this weekend with some local baked goods that we make. I'm also going to be selling some of my chicken eggs, some succulent arrangements that I'm going to make, and I'm going to pick some salad greens and sell those as well. So I'll show you the baked goods towards the end of the video, and I'll show you some baby succulents that I'm propagating. They're too small to sell, but they're pretty cool. I thought it would be nice to show you the early stages of propagating succulents and how they look. And then here are the rest of some of the beautiful springtime scenes around here, around my work, and around the horse farm. Breaking news. It's a few days after I filmed that little tour video and I have to show you something. Let's go up to the big garden. and off topic, but it smells really good out of here. Someone must be roasting marshmallows nearby. Okay, I'm so excited to show you this. I came up here and I ran back to get the camera after I picked the first batch of squash and zucchini of the season. Now, it's not gonna stop for quite a while. But I'm so excited. This one got a little bit too big. Like I said, they grow really quick. I didn't know they were quite ready yet. And then sometimes the first couple batches look a little bit wonky. That's pretty normal. After they give off a couple sets, they usually start to look normal. Summer is definitely starting. And look at this. Some of the flowers are starting to bloom. If you have been following my other videos from this spring, you know that I have a pineapple plant. In the first video where I got this, which was the Easter video and the chick update one, I showed you this and the pineapple was still pretty green. Well, now that it's turned yellow and you can definitely smell the sweet pineapple flavor, it is ready to be picked and eaten. Yes, you can eat the pineapple off of your little pineapple house plant. It's bittersweet because once you harvest it, the plant usually dies. Now it should produce little offsets or little pups that I can then propagate and replant. So hopefully it'll do that because it was really neat having this plant, so it's going to be sad to see it go. But I can't leave the pineapple on there because it'll become overripe and eventually rot. I have been keeping it in a window with a lot of bright and direct sunlight. I've been watering it once a week with a really deep soaking method. And then on nice days, I would put it outside where it would get partial shade. But on really, really hot days or in the afternoon, I would move it into the shade so it wouldn't get burnt. And it's ripe already.